So obviously you have these leads, customers that call in, right? And like Phil was saying, they're outside your service area. It's a pest that you don't treat or a service you don't provide, right?
Yep.
And you paid for that lead. And now that money's out the window unless you can do something with it to generate money. And Baton gives you its own platform where you have a whole list of other providers in your area that you can send that to, and they just buy it from you for a preset amount. It's
Yeah.
awesome, right? So you
Yep.
actually generate some money off of those leads. And then in reverse, you can go out and buy those leads from other companies in the same kind of format.
It's different for everybody. Some companies have all the leads they could ever want, and they only want to use Baton to refer them out. Like there's many that use the platform for that. And then
Yep.
there are others who the first question at the meeting is just like, okay, how many leads can you give us? And there's no concern at all about, like, they just don't want to refer anything, because they can take everything, or they just, I mean, to be fair, the commissions that you'll get from referring leads is
Welcome to the Bug Bucks Podcast, a podcast designed to turn you into a bug money millionaire. This episode is brought to you by Bug Bucks Plus, the #1 training and education platform designed to help you build and scale your pest control company. I'm your host, Eric Bassett, and of course, right next to me, one and only, Jay Klaus. What's up, dude?
What's up, Eric? What's up, my fellow Bug Bucksers?
All right, so before we hit record, we were talking about how particular you are about your hats and your haircuts.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So how long? Okay, you heard the saying that like the difference between a good haircut and a bad haircut, or a bad haircut and a good haircut for a guy is 2 weeks.
Yes.
How from the date that you have like a fresh new haircut,
Fresh, low taper fade.
yeah,
Okay,
right?
Uh-huh.
How long do you wear that haircut before you start feeling like a little uncomfortable? You gotta start wearing hats.
Well, no. So maybe I think we've talked about this in the podcast before, but Jana, who's my wife and Eric's sister,
Yes.
she does all of our haircuts.
Yep.
She does all the haircuts. So I'm an every 2-week haircut.
At the 2 week mark, are you like you feeling weird? You feel like you have to wear a hat?
Yeah, I don't like it. Yeah. And for me, the haircut has to happen before Sunday. I don't like going to church with a shaggy head because it's the only time that I can't put a hat on to cover my hair. And so my problem is, like our guest today, who we're going to introduce in a second. Don't say anything yet. Don't reveal your identity. But like his hair is nice because it grows down, right? So like long hair can be okay. My hair and your hair too, we have kind of the same hair.
It grows like a chia pet?
It grows out,
Yeah.
like a dandelion or
Yeah.
a chia pet. So when my hair starts to grow out, it just looks horrible. Like I can't do it. So yeah, if I've got a bushy, shaggy head, which really to everybody else it doesn't look bushy or shaggy, then it's a hat. That's why I'm always wearing a hat, because usually we're too busy for a haircut.
If I can get my hair short enough, I might be able to pull off like 4 weeks. Which in our prep season, like in the colder part of the year, I usually come back every like once a month, and that's just about perfect. Just a little bit too long, but
no, your
pretty close.
Your hair should be cut as frequently as mine.
I would love 2-week haircuts.
Because we were talking about Dragon Ball Z before the show. Both you and me, and maybe even our guest a little bit. Looks like we've gone Super Saiyan.
Oh yeah, dude. But our guest is in the best way. Like,
yeah,
you can tell that he's got the power. So
yeah,
it's good. It's over 9,000.
Oh yeah.
Okay, all right. Before we dive into a Dragon Ball Z world,
the important stuff out of the way.
The important part. I do want to introduce our guest, but before we do, gotta remind everybody listening, the best way to receive new episodes is by subscribing to our show on your preferred podcast platform like Apple, YouTube, Audible, or Spotify. If you love the show, please leave us a rating and a review. Make sure to check out our Facebook group, Bug Bucks Plus. That is BUGBUX Plus. We have the owners only group that has over 4,500 pest control owners that are waiting to connect with you and share their thoughts. We also have the Bug Bucks Pest Pros group for non-owner team members designed to help them develop in their roles. Joining the groups is the best way to connect with us, share your feedback on our show, and have your questions highlighted and discussed here on the podcast. So make sure you find us on Facebook and join the groups.
That Pest Pros group is growing.
It is. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's nice seeing the numbers. Nice seeing the numbers grow on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So without further ado, today I would love to welcome Phil Kirkeiner. Did I say that right?
You did. Phil Kirkeiner.
did.
Man, that's such
Yeah.
an iconic. Now, I said it like 18,000 times before we actually hit record. Phil Kirkeiner. That sounds so
You know
iconic.
what? You know what it does? You know what Phil Kirkeiner sounds like? I think you missed your call. That sounds like an MLB. It's something you
It
sound like it's like
does.
a baseball player name.
Yeah, that
That's
does
the
sound.
first time
That's
I've gotten
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Phil
That's the
Kirkeiner.
first time?
Yeah, about being an MLB player.
That
Yeah,
does
that's
Yeah.
sound like an
awesome.
MLB name, dude,
Yeah.
right on the back of a jersey. That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
right?
Okay,
Yeah.
if I
As well as somebody out of New Jersey, Phil Kirkeiner.
yeah. Oh,
That
it's
does
coming
sound
up with
nice.
that. Let's go.
In another life.
Yeah, DH Phil Kirkeiner. All right. So Phil is the co-founder and CEO of Baton Leads. Phil started his career as a numbers guy at a fast-growing pest control company, and he discovered they were turning down almost half of the potential customers because they were out of the area and needed services that they couldn't provide. He found a solution, which is Baton, the industry's fastest-growing referral network, which makes it easy and profitable to refer non-qualified callers to other companies and get paid for it. Love it, dude. Phil, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hey, thanks so much, Eric. I'm happy to be here. It's a pleasure to be on the podcast. I'm doing great. Thanks. How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. It's a pleasure to have you on. Natura, our pest control company, we've been customers of Baton for years.
Several
Yeah,
years. Yeah,
yeah,
many
years now.
years. Yeah.
And it's been an awesome platform to us to use. And obviously, you guys are sponsors and supporters of the Bug Bucks Plus platform. So
We
thank
sure
you
are.
from two different perspectives. You
Excellent.
guys are killing it. So
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. It's awesome.
Yeah.
You guys have been great to work with.
Yeah.
Well, so no, you have been great to work with because let me just say this. I think that in my almost 20 years of pest control experience in the industry, Baton, the concept and the execution of Baton is just about one of the most creative and innovative solutions in the pest control world. Um, Phil, let me ask you this: Did anything like Baton exist before Baton was created?
Man, I've heard of so many attempts at it, because it's so frustrating when you hear service companies, they're working so hard, spending so much money to generate calls, just to have so many of them be out of their area or for stuff they don't do, And I've heard people, other big platforms try to spin up something, and other just, people doing it themselves. I hear probably our biggest competitor, quote unquote, is people building their own referral networks locally, and that's pretty
Sure.
easy for local companies to do, where
Like a
you're
BNI or something like that, like a business networking thing?
yeah, like when you can go meet people locally and get referrals from other people that are in your city or area or metro or whatever. I mean,
Hmm.
that's something that a lot of people do, and we encourage them to keep doing that. But for big companies, especially that have dozens of locations, spend millions of dollars on marketing, get calls for all kinds of stuff they might not be able to do just because they have a recognizable brand. That it was just impractical for many of those companies to build their own referral networks, and um, nothing just like what we've done was out there, but definitely people were trying for it, and we're just happy we've had the limited success we've had to date.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when your business partner Cody reached out to me, and I think it's like a cold reach out on LinkedIn, right? Which I mean, we can probably all agree that less than 1% of those are usually viable. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
there's so much information. I've got
I don't even use LinkedIn. So if you try to reach out to me on LinkedIn, I apologize. It will never get to me. You might as well put a message in a
Yeah.
bottle and throw it
it's
into the
like
sea.
I think I have 15,000 connections on LinkedIn. And like I get just tons of stuff in my inbox, right? And at some point, Cody reached out to me and he was like, "Hey, I want to talk to you about this lead sharing platform, Baton." And I'm such a marketing guy and like an inside sales guy that I'm like, "Okay, dude, I'll buy it. Like, tell me what it is. Like, are you an Angie Leads? Like, what's going on here?"
Hmm.
And when I talked to Cody, one of the things that I loved a lot is that from a customer journey perspective, right? And Phil, you can kind of correct me if I mess up here. I'm just going to kind of
Sure.
lay out the design of what I was sold on from Baton from the beginning. Um, so obviously you have these leads, customers that call in, right? And like Phil was saying, they're outside your service area. It's a pest that you don't treat or a service you don't provide, right?
Yep.
And you paid for that lead. And now that money's out the window unless you can do something with it to generate money. And Baton gives you its own platform where you have a whole list of other providers in your area that you can send that to, and they just buy it from you for a preset amount. It's
Yeah.
awesome, right? So you
Yep.
actually generate some money off of those leads. And then in reverse, you can go out and buy those leads from other companies in the same kind of format, right? And so if you're a kind of company that, I mean, it's beneficial both ways, which is sweet. But the customer journey aspect I thought was really cool that Cody talked to me about and we kind of vibed on is that when people call our pest control company, I like that they call us for everything, right? I actually feel good about that. I'm like, I want people to think that pest control and Natura are just synonymous,
Mhm.
right? If you have any pest control issue, call Natura,
Yep.
right?
It was like we talked about a couple episodes ago where
Uh-huh.
we're getting these calls from pissed off people because some
other pest
very
control company
high
involved.
pressure door knocker
Yeah.
came and knocked, and in their mind, Natura is the only pest control company in the area, so it must be us
Yeah, it's
that's
got to
sending
be
these
them.
guys to their house.
Yeah.
So it's like a black feather in your cap.
Right?
It's like you're a winner and a loser.
Oh yeah. And so
That's funny.
from a customer service standpoint, it's so nice that if somebody calls in and says, "Hey, I've got this problem." It's great to be able to say, "Oh, hey, like I actually like we don't handle that, but you don't have to hang up, you don't have to call anybody else. Let me go ahead and take care of the hard work for you. I'm going to get all your information and I'm going to send this over to one of our other partner providers who does take care of that. They'll be in contact with you soon." Right?
Mm-hmm.
Customers like, "Great, they can sit back, put their feet up, and they still believe that calling Natura Pest Control was the best decision that they made."
Yeah,
Right?
That's right.
Even though they're not actually going to use Natura Pest Control. And guess who gets paid for that lead? This guy does,
you're a winner and a winner.
right?
Yeah,
So the
Love
customer
that.
journey part of it's really cool. Getting paid for the leads is really cool. And then I want more leads. We have a huge appetite for leads. And
Yes.
especially like if there are leads that other pest control companies don't want to do, like that's warm, that's hot. Like, let's go, right?
Super hot.
So I'm in it to win it to get those leads as quickly as possible into our inside sales team and get things going.
I
So
love
I told Phil before we hit record, like Baton was one of the easiest yes decisions for me as a pest control business owner. And it's one of the easiest sells for me to refer out to other PCOs because it just makes sense.
I love
yeah.
that.
Okay, Phil, you got to walk us through your proof of concept. What's the origin story?
Ooh, yeah. Give us the background.
Yeah,
Happy to share that. So I mean, I'll start probably a little further back than you're asking. I mean, when I moved to Utah in the first place from Indiana, I went to BYU to study music, and I always thought I was going to be, a creative type person, playing drums in some touring band someday or something. I really like.
wait, you play the drums?
I do play the drums. Yes.
Oh, dude,
Really?
raise your hand if you're a drummer.
Dude, there's 3 drummers in
Are
here.
you kidding me?
That's what I'm
No, dude,
about.
no, seriously. Yeah, I played I had this hardcore punk band when I was in high school in the 90s, and we
No way.
toured the US. Yeah, we went from Boise, Idaho up to Moscow, Idaho, all the way to DC and then back down
Wow.
through. Yeah.
You're living
Anyway,
the
so you wanted to do that. It's not all it's cracked up to be, but you wanted to do that.
Yes, I did aspire to do that, and so I got to school, and then realized quickly though that studying music, I probably was going to struggle to make money for much of my life. So
Yeah.
I pivoted and was like, dang, I should probably do something business related. And then I thought, hey, accountants, they know about money, right? I'm going to go be an accountant. Complete opposite side of the creative spectrum, right? But I
Yes.
did it, and shortly through there, I was like, I don't really identify with these people, so I gotta figure something out. And I was gonna get married pretty soon, so after my terrible accounting internship, where I was working crazy hours and just crunching numbers that felt like I was just doing busy work, I did summer sales, and that's how I got introduced into the pest control industry. And
Excellent.
I actually enjoyed that more than my accounting work that I did. So that taught me something about myself. And I sold for GreenX Pest Control. That's
Mhm.
that's
Oh,
who I
yeah.
was.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so I did that for 2 summers. I had a great time, really great managers, great company. I love all those guys that work there. Still
What
visit
market
them.
were you in with GreenX?
I was in Indianapolis that first year.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
which is
Yeah,
where I'm from.
Midwest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so I did that, and then after 2 summers, I didn't want to do it again, and I was graduating still with my accounting degree. I was going to finish that, so I thought, maybe GreenX has a job for me, and they did. So I wanted to be the numbers guy. Was just an analyst there. I ran their customer retention metrics, a lot of their sales metrics, just whatever report they needed. They needed it fast. They needed it
Mhm.
done right. So we were growing fast and way understaffed. So I just was grateful to have that opportunity. And as part of that, I worked pretty closely with the inside sales team, and that's where I noticed how many calls were getting, you know, dropped essentially. Customers calling, and it wasn't the first time. Like if they called us for a wildlife issue and someone like in their attic, it wasn't the first company they called. They had called other pest control companies too, and they were struggling to find someone who could help. And then also, in the retention side, we were really trying to keep. It was a fast growing door to door company, right? Like a canceling customer hurts because you know how much you paid for that.
Yep.
Um,
Mhm.
so uh, the moving aspect of it was something where like, damn, we paid hundreds of dollars for this customer. Now they're moving to Florida. Like, what the heck? We didn't even break even on them. So that was a particular draw to building some sort of solution around this as well at the time. So, while I was at GreenX, my wife did a study abroad, so I had lots and lots of free time one summer, and I decided, I'm going to see if I could, do something about this. So I learned how to code more or less. I built a prototype for a kind of platform that Baton's actually still built on that same base.
Dude, are you
Nice.
serious?
Never, yeah, and then I went to Pest World later that year and was like, you know what? If this has legs, I need to talk to people. So I bought a ticket to Pest World and just bought a shirt that said Baton on it and pretended like I had a booth. Just went around like, hey, have you guys heard of Baton? I'm like, oh no, yeah, where's your booth? Oh, it's over there. So anyway, what it is, and it worked great.
Dude,
At
just
first,
just like a door-to-door sales.
Dude, that's the
man.
hustle right there.
Oh, I love it.
that
Oh
was.
man.
I'm so glad I did that because I came home. I was only there a day, but I came home and I had customers waiting to try it out. So, um, that winter while I was still working at GreenX, I got the first few customers on board, and it struggled. Figured out the best way to pass customers around, and I thought the money was going to be in the moving part. Like I thought, everyone knows how many people cancel. Everyone knows that moving customers are, new move-ins are the best. We kind of struggled to get that off the ground for the first like 6 months because. If I get one company in Florida, for example, and they have someone moving, they could be moving to any state anywhere, and they might only have a couple
Right.
dozen people moving a month, so it's hard to reach out to someone and sell them one lead a month. Um, and so I struggled with
Mhm.
that, and then and eventually I tried to pivot to the service not offered thing, and I reached out to my buddy Ben Kennard in Portland. He's at Axiom Pest Control. You probably know that if you guys are based in
Yep.
Vancouver, right? So
Mhm.
Yep.
um,
Yeah, we know them.
yeah, I was like, hey man, are you ever getting wildlife calls? Like, can I help you monetize those? And he's like, oh yeah, like the moving thing was not that great of an idea, but this is a great idea. I was like, okay, cool. And so I found a wildlife company and I tweaked the platform, and then after that, it was like 20 times the amount of referrals per company with that method. So,
Wow.
um, I mean, then it was just one more company at a time, right? Building a network. So first it was Axiom and wildlife guy there, and then Point Pest Control out there was another early
Mhm.
client.
Yep.
Edge, now Salo was another early one, and just keep piling on, and now we got
Was that Jacob? Was that Jacob up there in Spokane?
yep, Jacob Ward,
Point. Yeah.
yeah, really great guys, that whole group up there, and Jared as well over in
Yep. On the
Illinois,
other side.
Virginia. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're huge supporters. Super grateful for them and everyone else who supported early on. And now 600 companies later, we got hundreds of thousands of referrals going around each year. We've got every state covered. We've got, you know, good brand. I think it's okay. I mean, you guys say good things about it, so that's
Yeah.
encouraging. Uh,
Well, everything about it, everything about sorry, not Baton, about Baton, I think it's just so cool. So number one, like it's capitalism at its finest, right? Phil sees a hole, he sees a
Mhm.
gap, and there's a necessity, and Phil says, "Ah, I've got a solution for this hole. I've got a bridge that can that can go over this gap. So he goes out and he does it. This is the American dream, dude. Phil, God bless you, man. You're a true American. So then Phil says, I
Thank
see this gap. Let's fill this gap. And then you create the thing yourself. You market it yourself. You go out on a limb to just go out and basically pass out candy bars with the Baton sticker on the wrapper, essentially, right? And you get your first handful. You go out and you hustle. You get your first couple of clients, and not to mention the name. It's freaking genius because
I
you're passing the baton.
Yeah.
So
I
how did that? You were watching the Olympics, and they were passing the baton. Like how did you come up with baton?
Man, I wish I could take credit for that name. I was naive enough to think that maybe lead punt or something would be the name of this.
Yeah, I'm glad
But,
you went with baton. That's much better.
yeah, doesn't really hint at much care being taken when passing the lead, right? So
Right.
that's my marketing professor at BYU. His name's Scott Rackham. He's still an advisor with us today, and he was the earliest supporter. He came up with that name, so I got to
Oh,
give him all the credit
Nice.
for that.
cool. You can
He's
pass
a
the
good
baton
guy.
over to him. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Man, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, I
He's
feel
super
like
cool.
for Baton, there's a lot of like new business ideas that float around, like, and I'll hear about them, and people have approached me with new ideas that they want to either help build or invest or scale or whatever the situation is. And I'm like, okay, like let's sit down, we'll do a meeting, and we'll talk about the idea. And like 20 to 30 minutes in, I've got more questions than I have answers, and I'm like
Mhm.
thinking, this is kind of complicated, you know what I mean? Like, and like where exactly is the value proposition here? All those kinds of concerns that businesses struggle with, especially software platform-based businesses, right? And other things like that.
Totally.
And man, I feel like the reason why Baton is so easy for me, and it's such a no-brainer, is because it like leads with value for the consumer, like leads with value for the client so easily. Like I remember the only question that I had, I think, for Cody, I was like, what's the catch? Like, Cody, what like this
Oh,
sounds great. What's the
we
problem here?
get
Like,
that a
so what,
lot.
you're like, or you ask a question like, hey, so what are the subscription fees, or what's the one-time cost? Like, what do I have to do? And Cody's like, dude, this is really simple, right? Like, you're buying and selling leads. We take a slice of that. Everybody wins, including you and the people that are getting the leads. And I'm like, well,
Okay,
Cody,
that's
make
the
it sound,
catch.
make it sound so good when you say it like that, right? So that's what's just cool for me, is that you saw something that, just like Jake was saying, it just fits so well into a gap in the industry. And the way that you built the platform, you created such a low barrier to say yes, right?
Mhm.
And obviously, like we have Bug Bucks, our learning platform, and we've got our pest control company, and we talk about that same thing in business, where it's like, okay, um, the whole idea here is to create an opportunity for people to buy or purchase your product with the lowest degree of resistance, right?
Yes.
But not necessarily give away the farm, you know.
Yep.
So, what do you feel like has been the biggest feedback that you've been able to get from people using Baton, as far as what they feel like benefits their company most? Is it selling leads? Is it getting leads? Is it a mix of both?
Man, that's a good question. And from time to time, Cody and I will talk about this. Like, oh, when we reach out to companies, we should lead with them getting leads, and then we say, oh, no, 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 we should lead with them selling leads. And like, oh no, but this person like that, this person like that, and like, and you just, it's different for everybody.
Mhm.
Some companies have all the leads they could ever want, and they only want to use Baton to refer them out. Like there's many that use the platform for that. And then
Yep.
there are others who the first question at the meeting is just like, okay, how many leads can you give us? And there's no concern at all about, like, they just don't want to refer anything, because they can take everything, or they just, I mean, to be fair, the commissions that you'll get from referring leads is probably pennies compared to the revenue that your business is generating, right?
Sure.
And everyone who's referring, ultimately the discussion comes back to like, okay, well, it's nice I could get stuff back from my referrals, but like also, I mean, we just want to make more money, like what
Mhm.
else can you give me referral wise? So um, generally speaking, I would say that leading with with people getting referrals works better, generally speaking, because
Mm,
everybody wants more leads, right? You mentioned yourself, you have an insatiable desire for more leads, right?
we do.
Um, and so does everybody. And so when I reach out to them and say, "Hey, man, I saw you guys do termites. You work with a whole bunch of pest control companies. They don't do termites, and they're looking for someone to refer them to. Like, are you open to having a discussion?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, tell me how it works." Because people love referrals. And you
Yep.
mentioned at the beginning, like, "Oh, is this like Angie leads?" Right? Man, that word is toxic. Anytime we bring that up, people run. And like, no, we're not like Angie. I'm trying to say we're not like
Yeah.
Angie.
Yeah. That
Um,
should be your tagline. Baton, not
We're
like
not
Angie
Angie.
Lee. Yeah.
the opposite of Angie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how I guess answer that question. It depends on everybody, but generally speaking, if you can help people get more business, I mean, lead with that. You know,
Oh,
but it
100%.
depends.
Yeah.
Totally
Man,
depends.
you know what? I think that it's neat that you guys bring so much value to the industry. And it's also really great that you started out in the pest control world. We talk about this. Oh shoot, sounds like we talk about this on like every
Yeah.
single episode where,
Yep.
you don't plan on getting in the pest control industry, you just fall into it. But what's
Yeah,
really cool about you and Cody is that when you started out in the pest control industry doing pest control, but then you saw an opportunity to use another skill that's still in the pest control world, but you didn't start your own pest control company. You didn't go open up a branch for another pest control company. Did you
mhm,
ever have any thoughts like? Because I know that there's a lot of listeners or viewers out here that have either just started their pest control company, or Eric and I get messages all the time from guys on the Facebook group saying, dude, I just started my company and I never would have done it if it weren't for, listening to your guys' podcast.
that's so
So
cool.
I know there's a lot of companies out there, a lot of guys or gals or whatever, a lot of people that are listening that are feeling trepidatious and nervous about starting their own company. What were some of the initial like gut punches, like knife in the gut feelings that you had in starting this thing? Because this is totally different, right? I mean, you start a pest control company, it's like, well, I got to have a name and I got to have a sprayer and I got to have a truck. Boom. It's
Yeah,
like plug and play. But what you did, there's no plug and play. Like you created that thing. You're making it up as you went along. So what did
yeah,
you experience starting this thing that like could be helpful to a PCO that's just starting up?
man. What a good question. And first off, I got to say to all of you guys who have pest control companies, huge kudos, because part of why I was pushed this direction is I just was scared to death of managing people and having trucks and equipment and dealing with customers face to face all day. Like I sold pest control, but man, it was very much an obligation for the money rather than like, let's do this more and harder and bigger.
Mhm.
Um, so I guess starting with Ton, like I'd always been kind of stubborn in that I wanted to do my own thing. And in college, I had, I started the BYU Scooter Club, and I like, had another business where I'd
Like
uh,
Vespas or like the little razors?
the razors. I was way
Oh,
into that in high school. Yeah, that was like my
Nice.
thing. I could do backflips and everything on scooters.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, that's legit.
prove it.
Okay, right. I'm gonna stand up. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Um,
No.
no, but so I was always starting stuff, but I wanted to be independent financially. So, I mean, I guess where I see most people quit when they start their businesses, even pest control, is like they just don't stick it out long enough, I'd say. And with
Mhm.
Baton, like, sure, it sounds like you didn't have a whole lot of upfront capital investment, but I went, 2.5, almost 3 years without paying myself. And the gut punches were, the times when the spouse is worried, and you're like, oh, it's just we're just right around the corner, right? I'll pay myself in just next month or a few more months, or no, this big customer, I'm gonna land them, right? And it's just or you're or defending what you're doing to friends or something, and like they have
Mhm.
their jobs, and like that you can't go out and spend the money on this or that because you've got to be frugal. And um I don't know. I think it's just the grit and self doubt that's kind of, you know, some days, as an entrepreneur, you get a good sale and it's like you're on cloud nine. You are unstoppable. You are gonna destroy the industry. You're gonna take over everything. But then other days it's just like, someone cancels on you, the app breaks, it's just Yeah, it's just the sticking it out, I'd say. I mean, that's what I learned the hard way is like,
So you're pushing against the wind. That's what you're saying. It's the pushing
Yeah.
against the wind that's the
It's an uphill
yeah.
battle.
So in summary, I guess I'd say there's a meme I've seen that I really like. It's like a banner on a wall that says, "We didn't do this because we thought it would." Sorry, I killed the punchline. Uh, we didn't we didn't do this because it's easy. We did it because we thought it was going to be easy.
right.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
um,
that sounds about right.
yeah.
yeah, and that's definitely what I learned is that I was super wrong about that. So
You
Man,
know, the
that's really, really cool.
oh yeah, and from an entrepreneurial standpoint, like in the beginning, I feel like there's this. If I look at a pie chart, right, of like how people respond to you when you decide to become an entrepreneur, there's this whole chunk of people who are like, "Dude, you're such a dummy. Like, why would you do that? Like, go take the for sure bet. Like, don't. Dude, you have a college degree. Like, what are you thinking?
mhm.
And then there's a bunch of other people who are like, "Hey, man, best of luck." Like they want you to succeed, but in the back of their mind, they're thinking like, okay, well, we'll see where this goes.
Oh, dude,
And
yes.
then there's this like a small sliver of people who are just like they know you're going to be successful, right? Like
Mhm.
blindly or not, they're just thinking, dude, you're killing it. Like I wish that I had the drive that you have. I wish I could be an entrepreneur. I can't, but like you're awesome. Like
I believe in you.
yeah, in the grind, it's a small percentage, right? Usually other entrepreneurs. But then, like, as soon as you, like, quote unquote, make it, like, while you're struggling, those people are all, like, validated. They're like, "Could have told you so," right? Like, "It's gonna be a struggle. You shouldn't have done that,"
Yes.
And then when you win, there's that small percentage of people who are like, "I know you could have made it, dude. Like, you're killing it. I believed in you the
Mhm.
entire time."
Yeah.
And then everybody else, like, all the doubters are like, "Must be nice. Like,
Yeah.
must be nice to be a business owner where you don't have to work anymore and you get all the money." And you're like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, bro, thanks."
Well, there's two things that just were a huge thing to me. I mean, along these lines, right? So I'd done door to door for, I don't know, 8 years or something like that for a bunch of companies. And um, we got to the point where like, let's just start our own thing. And so I remember that this one time before we started the company, we were over at my parents' house for Sunday dinner, and my older brother's there, and I love my older brother. He's great. I love him. He's my brother, you know. But I mean, he graduated magna cum laude. Am I saying that right?
Yeah,
Right?
there you go. Yeah,
Laude, Lottie, Lottie
Yeah,
da.
laude, right?
I'm not
Yeah,
smart enough to know.
magnum cum laude, yeah.
Magna cum laude, Lottie, whatever, from
Magnum
Northwestern
cum
Law.
laude.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, and Northwestern Law is like, I think then it was like a top five,
Yeah.
maybe it still is top five law school. The dude's just he's really smart, right? And so we said, yeah, we're going to go start a pest control company in the Vancouver, Portland area. And he goes, dude, that's stupid. You don't do that. He goes, what the hell do you know about running a pest control company? What you should do is go open a Chipotle franchise. And
Okay.
I was like, dude, I've been in pest control for almost 9 years. What the hell do I know about owning a Chipotle? I don't know anything about that. And so like, but in my mind, I'm like, he knows so much. Like,
Mhm.
should I listen to that? And I'm glad we didn't. I don't hold it against him or anything, but it was just one of those like initial like I'm
That
pushing
mistake.
against the wind here. And then shortly after we started, I think that my brother had sent me maybe a Forbes article, like trying to be helpful, and it was about starting a company or like small business owners or whatever. And the guy says, starting a company, being a business owner is like riding on a lion because everybody around you is like, wow, look at how brave that guy. He's riding on a lion, and you're on the lion going, why am I riding on a lion, and how do I get off of this thing without getting eaten, right? And
Yes.
so, I know that like it sounds like you kind of had the same initial journey. And I didn't know there's so many people out there that are like, yeah, dude, I'm pushing against the wind. Like this is hard.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And it is hard. I remember we had sales guys that would show up and they're like, dude, this is hard. And I know the feeling because you wake up and you got that knot in the pit of your stomach, that just sits there, and you wake up in the morning and it's there, and it makes everything acidic, and then you go to bed at night and knot is still there in the pit of your stomach. And I told one of my sales guys one time, it's like, you just keep pushing, keep doing everything that you need to do. And eventually that knot in the pit of your stomach will descend and become a set of brass cojones. And then you've made it. But
Yes. I love that. I got to call out to the, in the entrepreneur journey, having a great spouse is invaluable.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, without Hannah, I never would have been able to stick it out as long as I did. And she bankrolled this while I didn't pay myself for so long too. It's just like, if you got a good spouse behind you, I mean, that's the lottery.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick moment to highlight one of the premier sponsors of the BugBucks Plus platform. If you're looking for a way to drive 5-star reviews, employee and customer engagement, and provide additional tips and bonus compensation for your team members, Applause is the platform for you. Applause makes it easy with their streamlined online platform and app. They give your management team clear and detailed reporting and provide competitive leaderboards that drive employee engagement. And these are just a few of the benefits that Applause delivers. To learn more about how Applause can take your company to the next level, visit applaushq.com. That's APPLAUSEHQ.com. And remember to ask about special discounts for BugBucks Plus Facebook members and BugBucks Plus subscribers. Now back to the BugBucks podcast.
Dude, I think behind, I don't want to say every successful entrepreneur, but behind most of them are like supportive spouses that just believed in them.
Yeah.
Like I think like the biggest love language for any entrepreneur is having someone in their corner that believes in them.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like if you have that, dude, you can do anything,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've had a couple of PCO couples on the podcast.
Oh yeah.
And dude, like when you like talk to them and you see kind of their dynamic, like it's just magical.
I think about Zona, like
Yeah, dude. I've got a little shout out, dude. I've got a thing on my water bottle right here. But yeah, it's just magical because you get to see that they're there to kind of support each other because you know that it's never going to be all ups, right? Like it's never going to be all good things for both people. And just naturally, like personally, it's not going to be that way. Definitely not professionally, right? In the business.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I mean, Phil knows how it goes. Like he was saying, the app crashes, people cancel, stuff happens. And you're thinking like, the voices from the doubters come in, and you're like, oh my gosh, am I making the wrong choice here?
I'm so stupid.
Yeah, you're like, I'm such an idiot, right? And then
why am I betting on this lion?
Like, and then you get that person, that spouse, that partner that comes in and says, hey, you can do this, right? You should be doing this. You deserve to do this. People are counting on you for this, right? You're going to do big things with your life.
Yeah.
Like this is your legacy. And you're like, wow, I can keep going, And,
Yes.
Obviously the just like you said, Phil, I mean, it's so important to have a supportive spouse. Agreed. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I just got to throw one shout out. Jana. Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah. She, there's that saying behind every dude. For me, it was side by side. Jana and I were grinding at this thing from the beginning, and she is so much smarter than me in just about every way. And Natura would not be what it is without her. Neither would BugBucks. I mean, she's a freaking genius. So
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll give a little shout out to my wife, which I dragged her over here. Like when we were first dating, I was like, hey, like, what are you doing for a job? That's dumb. Come work customer service at my pest control company, right? And she was like, okay, and then she went from being customer service to assistant manager to office manager. Right before we got pregnant. And yeah, dude, and she's been just such an amazing part of the journey. I mean, she moved away from her family and all this stuff. So it's like,
wow, the
sacrifices that our spouses and partners make for us, it's a big part.
It's huge. Phil, where do you see, like, what's your 5-year, 10-year vision for Baton? Where do you want to take it?
Oh man. I mean, the whole services industry has so much opportunity for better referrals, and right now, we've been talking to a lot of plumbing and HVAC companies and getting lots of great feedback from them.
Yeah.
And it comes with its own unique challenges going into that that vertical, right? I mean, just like every vertical, but I foresee Baton being, you know, the number one referral platform to enable companies to refer better, you know, to make more money from the referrals and get more super qualified exclusive lead referrals from others, you know? So
Yeah.
I expect us in, you know, all home services industries. I expect us in, you know, like plumbing, HVAC, lawn, tree, roofing, solar, electric, cleaning, all kinds of stuff, you know, and then even into the auto industry, you could go in lots of different ways. And, you know, like tow trucks, you know, some of them don't want to do the, you know, the roadside assistance. Some just want to do the tows. They don't want to do the tire changes or what, you know, there's just so many. In every time I talk to people in another industry, like, oh, it'd be great if I had that, you know, and I'm a lawyer, some people say, you know,
Mhm.
so that's kind of what I envision. You know, first just going after the home services, the most attractive verticals over the next 5 years, and would love to see us in everything pretty much that you'd see uh on like a major lead platform, and then over 10, you know, probably, you know, just go into even personal services or auto and things like that. So
Dating. That's you got to get into the dating sphere.
God, yeah, you can't.
He's not working for me, but
Yeah,
I know.
oh
she'd
my
be great
God.
for you. And
Okay.
give me a little
Yeah.
kickback if you like her. You know, pay me something. You know.
Yeah, give him a warm handoff. She's like, "Hey, do you want to go on a date?" And he's like, "Actually, I don't go on dates with you anymore, but I have a friend.
I got a guy.
I'm gonna send your information over to him. He's gonna be in contact with you, and
Yes.
you're gonna have a great time."
Uh,
Phil, if you can make that work, you will make a lot of money.
Oh man.
dude, that's awesome. Well, I love that. I mean, it's so cool. The concept of Baton is truly amazing because the sky is the limit. Like there's no box. You know,
Yeah.
there's no fence. You know, you expand into every other industry, and it's the same thing. You know, you're
Mhm.
providing the same service, and it's universal. It can be applied to any service out there.
Yeah.
Yep. Pretty much.
The potential for Baton as a business, I believe is, like you're saying, huge. I mean, it's uncapped, right?
Mhm.
I mean, Phil, you could be pursuing verticals until your last days if you really wanted to, right?
I
Like,
really wanted to. Yeah.
and it's funny because you think about, like, for pest control companies, like, the way that we expand is obviously in types of services, right? But we can only really expand with numbers of customers, and we're kind of limited. I mean, there are some industries that it's like, well, we don't want to journey into that because it's complicated and weird, right?
Yeah.
Baton is so simple, and again, the value proposition there is so easy to understand that, yeah, in almost any industry, it's universal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So for the guys listening, I'll say a couple of things. One, it doesn't matter how big or small you are, Baton, 100% hands down, is a vendor for you, right? So if you are thinking, like, man, should I be using Baton? The answer is yes, first of all. And we do have special offers for BugBucks Facebook members and the platform subscribers for
Mhm.
Baton. So make sure you check that out. But the other thing I was going to say is keep an eye on Baton, man. I think that there's going to be big things that happen with you guys, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Yep.
That's really nice of you to say. I won't let you down. We won't let you guys down.
Perfect.
Well, now, when you go public, I'm buying stock.
Yep.
Sounds good.
You'll be my first stock that I
Yeah.
purchase. Actually,
Phil, give us a heads up before you go public. Let's buy
Yeah.
the stock. Let's buy the
Yeah,
ownership.
give us the
before
Pelosi
the
deal.
the IPO.
Yeah, let us.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That would be a
Yeah.
dream.
If PCOs want to contact Baton and they want to get set up, how do they do that?
Yeah. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so our website is batonleads.com, you know, spelled just how you would think it is spelled, batonleads.com. We've got an interest form there. Just fill that out and then fill out the first one. There'll be a few more extra questions there, kind of asking more about your industries and such, and we'll set up a demo and get you signed up. I mean, there's no onboarding fees, no membership fees for BugBucks people, and you guys are gonna love it. So we'll give you some free referral credits as well to start getting some new business.
Dude,
You see what I'm talking about, dude? Such a no-brainer. No subscription, no membership fees. They give you referral credits. Guys, come on.
it's so simple.
So simple. So, Phil,
Yeah.
this has been so awesome, man. We're definitely gonna have to have you back on the show. And number one, I'm just curious to just watch the journey of Baton. But two, I believe wholeheartedly in the value that you guys bring the industry, and I'm excited to talk about it every time someone asks.
Yeah.
Man,
So-
And I think this episode drops after Pest World.
I believe it does. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
so.
So I hope that you had a great experience meeting. You're going to be there this year, I'm guessing, right, Phil?
yes, we sure will.
Okay.
Love it. Okay.
Excellent.
We're gonna have to get together, grab a bite, have some talks, hang out. It's gonna be a good time.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Perfect. Well, Phil, thanks again so much. And of course, everybody else that's listening, we appreciate you guys taking the time. If you have a coworker, a manager, or an owner who could benefit from listening to this episode, the best way to say thank you to us is to share this episode with them. If you haven't joined the Facebook groups yet, go find the groups and join. It's BugBucks Plus. Lots of information and great connections there. You have a topic you want to discuss on the show, drop it in the group. As always, this episode is brought to you by BugBucks Plus, the #1 training and education platform designed to help you build and scale your pest control company. Visit bugbucksplus.com to sign up and start building today.
And hit subscribe, you filthy animals.
Thanks again for listening in. And until next time, keep building those pest control companies.
You're listening to the Bug Bucks Podcast, hosted by Eric Bassett and Jake Klaus.